Yo people, welcome back to the channel. This is your community man GRIZZLY reporting from Portman Road. Well, just outside Portman Road in my car now. The AC is on, much needed as well. Got a little sticky there in that first half for Liverpool. Of course, I'm about to give you a little post-match reaction to Arne Slot's first game in the Premier League away to newly promoted Ipswich Town. And look, let's get into the team selection first and foremost. From a Liverpool point of view, I think it was pretty much expected. Strong as we expected. No real surprises with the lineup, I think. The debate was always going to be probably Curtis Jones or Gravenberch alongside McAllister. He went for Gravenberch, and we'll get on to the performance of Gravenberch as I get into the game and as he got into the game. But yeah, look, do we really expect anything else opening game of the season when you're up against a buoyant, re-energized, the whole town was buzzing. I mean, it was a packed ground, the atmosphere was cracking, weather was great, and I tell you what, they really put a shift in that first half, harassed us, harried us. Look, the talk before the game was all about Arne Slot and how he's trying to emphasize on more control and how our play is going to be more structured. But I said something before the game to my friends and people around me. I said, today's not really going to be the day or the game or the match to judge new formations, tactics and structure. Today's going to be all about, in that first 20 to 30 minutes, matching their passion, matching their fight, matching their desire, winning our duels. And then in this heat, the more football we played, the more we kept the ball, we were going to tire them out. And that's how it pretty much turned out. Of course, naturally, when you're playing a new system, and we were, a few tweaks, this gradual build-up, this insistence on playing from the back, pivot of McAllister and Gravenberch, trying to give Virgil and Quansah more options. Trent wasn't inverting in that first half. Trent was playing as an orthodox fullback, Robertson as an orthodox fullback. So it was a 4-2 build-up kind of thing. Substitutions was by far the furthest forward. And so, you know, you could say that it's absolutely fact. Teething problems. It will take time. You know, Slot's come into a squad of players that he hasn't had much time with. Let's not forget he's had 2 weeks with the whole squad. Yeah, let's not forget that 8, 9 first-team players joined him only about 10 to 14 days ago. So it will take time. There will be teething problems, and that's exactly what it was. Ipswich's best couple of chances came from sloppy passing. I thought Virgil started off really slow. Alisson looked very slow, and Robertson, the 3 experienced players that you didn't expect to have slow starts, were actually the slowest. I thought Quansah bailed Virgil out a couple of times with crucial blocks, but then as the game wore on, you could see the Ipswich number 9, his name slips my mind, Delap tried to sort of pin Quansah on winning in his aerial duels, and he started getting the better of him. And to fair play to Slot, he changed that at half-time. I tweeted at half-time that Konate was doing a vigorous warm-up 5 minutes before half-time, and you could sense that he was going to come on, and that's what happened. So 0-0 at half-time, nothing worthy of talking about from a Liverpool attacking point of view, and nothing in terms of the control that we were supposed to see. But we stayed in the game. There was energy, there was grit, but not much of controlled football. But again, second half was a total different ball game. Quansah went off, Konate came on. What that meant was Trent started inverting more. So we started having 3 men in midfield. Trent joined McAllister and Gravenberch in the midfield. Konate handled the right side far better than Quansah. Quansah will be a magnificent centre-back. But he's young. And there will be times where he is physically bullied. Out-bullied, out-physicaled? Is that a word? Out-physicaled? You know what I mean. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I love the proactiveness of Arne Slot. Didn't waste any time. In fact, he spoke afterwards that he was concerned of the amount of duels that were winning and we couldn't get control as a result. Fantastic to see. The two players that I want to start talking about in the second half that were very quiet in the first half, and totally understandably, were Substitutions and Gravenberch. Two particular roles that they were given that they didn't have under Klopp. Gravenberch didn't have a role where he was the first phase player in the six or in a pivot under Klopp. And Substitutions wasn't given a clear 10 role under Klopp. So you can say, even though they've played there before for their respective national team in Substitutions' case, and his Dutch team, Ajax team, sorry, for Gravenberch, this is the first time they've played there for the Liverpool, for Liverpool's first 11 in a competitive league game. But I tell you what, those two, in my opinion, turned the game around. Total domination in midfield, alongside McAllister, who worked his way into the game as well. Look, Gravenberch, there's been so much talk about this number 6 position, and we need a number 6 who's a dual winner, physical, you know, wins the tackles and protects Liverpool in transitions. Gravenberch isn't that. He can develop into that, because that's all about the physical attributes, working on your physical attributes, learning the defensive side of the game. But what not many people will have, what Gravenberch has, is the absolute natural talent of receiving the ball, technique, control, poise on the time, and breaking the lines with those passes. When I get back home, I'm gonna ask all the Twitter's compilation makers to see what they could cook up, a compilation of how many times Gravenberch broke the lines with his passes into Salah, into Jota, into Diaz, into Substitutions. And I thought that was the point where we started regaining control. I tweeted at half time, if Ipswich are able to continue with this energy and pressing in the second half, then they're bionic men. So it turned out they couldn't keep up that same energy and press, and we were able to pick them off. Trent Alexander-Arnold had an absolute second half, about half an hour where he was at his sublime best. I often say it, his passing has been normalised. We normalised Trent's passing ability, and his just ability to strike a football is just so beautiful to watch. But it's a rare talent. It's a rare talent. Some of his passing was sublime. And look, we prize a move together where Trent plays in Salah, and this new Salah where he's just playing so intelligently, never giving his fullback any time to rest. Not just in terms of one-on-one duels, where Salah is probably not peak Salah anymore in terms of one-on-one ability, but in terms of movement, dragging him inwards, outwards. The fullback not knowing when to come in, when to go out, when to pass him onto the left-sided centre-back. I thought Salah was a joy to watch in that second half as well. Beautifully sliced through Trent pass, lays it on a play for that man, Diogo Jota, who I thought led the line magnificently. I've never seen... Okay, I think he's one of the best attackers I've seen intelligently, where his physical attributes are not standing out to the naked eye. He's not the quickest, he's not the biggest, he's not the tallest, but I tell you what, he will give a run for their money for the quickest, the tallest, and the most physical defenders. Do you get what I mean by that? So without being the quickest, the tallest, and the biggest, did I say biggest twice? He will always give a run for their money. Again, movement galore, never stop running, making runs, making avenues for other attackers to sort of go into his position as a foil. His hold-up play, you know, refused to be bullied, gets fouled so much, it's unbelievable, because he's not the biggest, and defenders think they can just shove him around. But you know, if you want a chance to fall in this Liverpool team, I still say Jota is the one that I'd want it to fall to. Diaz grew into the game, suddenly decided to really take on his fullback, had him on toast in that second half. The fullback was just dreading every time it was a one-on-one. Kept his width a lot, with Robertson overlapping, the energy of Robertson before Tsimikas replaced him. And as I said, Substitutions, Gravenberch, McAllister totally took over the midfield. totally controlled proceedings, and we looked a far stronger team. There was a phase where about 70 minutes, their centre-backs, I looked at their centre-backs and their back four, and they were absolutely terrified and finished. We should have, could have, and probably, definitely should have scored at least 4. So many times our final pass in that second half was lackadaisical. We didn't concentrate. We knew the job was done, and then that's when we could have that's when we relaxed and started making the substitutions. And Slot was good in his substitutions again. Of course, the proactiveness of the first one, which was Konate, who had a very solid game. Konate has been under the scrutiny recently. Well, sorry, at the back end of the last season, where some people were beginning to criticise him and talk about whether he's lost it. But hey, when you got competition like that, alongside Kwanzaa, it's great going. Tsimikas comes on for Robertson. Gakpo, surprisingly, maybe, I don't know. That's another story for another day, but only so many substitutions you can make. Gakpo comes on for Jota instead of Nunes. Maybe to do with hold up of the ball ability, maybe. But Slot got everything right. Slot got his team selection right. Slot got his tactics right. His tweaks right. So you got to remember, it's not always about getting your initial tactics right. You got to be proactive to make the changes when needed to eventually get the result. And that's what happened. But look, as far as first day of the season goes, it's never going to be tricky. You are not going to get beautiful, fast-flowing football from the start. You've got to stick in there. You've got to win your duels. You've got to stick in the game. I'll repeat it again. You've got to stick in the game. How many times did we concede the first goal last season? And I didn't want to concede the first goal. I didn't want a mountain to climb. Hot weather, huge crowd, record crowd for Portman Road. 20 years since they've been in the Premier League. You have to stay at the game. Don't give them something to work with. And we didn't. We didn't give them nothing to work with. And then our football, our talent, the likes of Substitutions, Diaz, grew back into the game. But listen, great start. Slot ball action. Take care.